Guys, my name is Chantel and welcome to Baking and Bows. This is going to be a new segment where I teach you how to make some sort of pastry, but also kind of explain the chemistry behind the ingredients and what is happening, and hopefully just make all of you better pastry chefs. At-home pastry chefs. So a little backstory about me. I've been a pastry chef for 8 years now. I have 2 degrees. One of them I got here in the US, and the other one I got in Malaysia. I have a degree in hotel and hospitality management, which is why I do finances for Rosé Forêt. Today I'm going to be showing you guys how to make creme brulee, and creme brulee is honestly really easy to make. It's only 3 ingredients. You have cream, which provides a richness and a creaminess. You have egg yolks, which help to firm up and provide a protein structure within the mixture, and then you have sugar, which sweetens the dish as well as creates a caramelization within the mixture. An important part in making almost any pastry is making sure that all of your ingredients are to temper, which means they all start out at room temperature. One of the other biggest things that was drilled into me as a pastry chef is something called mise en place, which means all in place. Basically, this means that you're going to measure out all of your ingredients before you start. This way, you aren't trying to sit here and measure out eggs while your milk is boiling over, so that you're just paying attention to every single step of the procedure as it happens. All right, so let's put on our apron and go ahead and get started. I love this apron, I really do, it's so cute. Really just had to be on brand with this Rilakkuma apron. Who doesn't love a Rilakkuma apron? Look at this little pocket. Look at his cute little Rilakkuma head pocket. Tell me that's not cute. So cute. Alright, so the recipe that is currently up on your screen is a recipe for making 4 creme brulees. It has 580 grams of cream, 60 grams of sugar, and 8 egg yolks. However, I'm just one little person, just me. So I decided to half the recipe. So first we're going to measure out our milk, and I need 290 grams of our cream. It is probably best to use whole milk. You can substitute it with any other type of milk. However, the fats, the additional fats that are in whole milk help to create a creamy texture within the creme brulee. The next thing we are going to need is 30 grams of sugar. And then the last thing that we need is going to be 4 egg yolks. Generally, the only reason that we don't use egg whites within creme brulee is because it's mostly water content within them. So they're pretty much useless. It's just going to add extra water content to your creme brulee, and we don't need that, so we just want the yolks. And if you can get those little albumins, those little, that's what these little, they're almost like, they're a string of protein that is bunched up within the egg that helps to stabilize the yolk within the egg whites. So if you can get those little extra white proteins, if you can get them into there, super helpful. I feel like creme brulee is really easy because there are only really 3 parts to the procedure. Making sure that there is a uniform liquid to start out with, then you're going to cook your egg yolks, and finally you're going to caramelize sugar. And this is what gives creme brulee its distinctive textures. In order to make sure that the mixture is uniform, we want to make sure that there are no clumps of sugar and that it has completely dissolved within the cream. If it doesn't dissolve well, there may be some inconsistency within the texture of your creme brulee. This is why we heat the cream, in order to completely dissolve the sugar granules. You can also use icing sugar instead of table sugar or caster sugar, as the smaller particle size and larger surface area will allow it to dissolve more quickly. When adding flavors to creme brulee, you want to make sure that you keep that texture uniform within the mixture, and so you don't want to add anything that is going to clump up or create bigger lumps within the mixture. Generally, when you're adding flavor, you want to infuse it into the cream. This basically means that while you're heating the cream up, you're going to add whatever sort of flavor you want to make the creme brulee. If it's coffee, you're going to grind up the beans and put them in the cream at that point, and then you strain it out later. Today we are going to be making lavender creme brulee, so I will be showing you how to infuse creme brulee properly, so that you can pretty much make any sort of flavored creme brulee. So now for the last ingredient that we have to measure out, and that is going to be what we are infusing into the cream. For us, we are going to be using lavender. Make sure you use culinary lavender. You don't want to just buy lavender from the store and then just try to cook with it, because they do use different chemicals for cooking lavender versus like cook with lavender. What else do you use? Soap. Maybe soap. So if you were going to make soap with lavender, it might be a different type of lavender because they do use different chemicals with it. So a general rule of thumb is that for every cup of cream that you have, you're going to generally measure out about 2 teaspoons of whatever ingredient you're going to infuse, up to possibly even a tablespoon per cup. Unless you are using something that is a little bit stronger, so say something like coffee, you're going to only use a teaspoon of coffee. So you're just measuring out 2 teaspoons of culinary lavender with my, yes, Hello Kitty. They have Hello Kitty duct tape on them. The reason that cream is probably one of the best liquids for creating infusions is because it not only has moisture or water component, but it also has a fat component. This will provide a nice environment for any sort of flavor molecules that would prefer either water or fat. All right, now that we are over here at the stove, I'm gonna just start heating the cream. We don't want to bring it to a boil, we don't want it that hot. However, we do want it at a simmer. To our cream, we are going to add in our meased out sugar. Now we don't want to entirely boil the cream, we just want to create a simmer. We want to make sure that it is warm enough that when we add in our lavender, that it will infuse properly. So when you can see that little bit of foam forming right around the edge there, that's how you know that your milk is coming to a simmer. This is probably the best time to add whatever ingredients you are going to infuse, but what you do want to see is a little bit of steam coming off of the milk. We're going to let this steep for about 5 to 10 minutes. We're also going to need a strainer, so we're going to strain that out whenever it is done cooling or done infusing. So I can see small bubbles starting to come up. This is good. This means that we are at a perfect simmer. All right, now that the milk has simmered for about 5 minutes, we're going to just strain off all of that lavender. We are now going going to allow this milk to sit here and cool off just a little bit before we temper it into our eggs. This technique, which is called tempering, allows us to bring the eggs to the same temperature as the warm cream without completely heating the proteins or cooking the eggs. Alright, so now that our cream has cooled off for the most part, we are going to start by tempering the eggs. Make sure to put a towel down underneath the bowl that you are going to be whisking in, because this will help it to stay put, whereas if you had it, you'd just be moving. I mean, this has a rubber thing on the bottom of it, so it helps out, but if you just have like a metal bowl, it helps to put a towel underneath it, so you can basically use one hand for stirring and the other for pouring. So to temper our eggs, we're going to pour in small amounts at a time. Each time you could add just a little bit more, because each time you have pretty much tempered the eggs. Just in case you might have curdled any eggs, we're going to just strain it out. Okay, cool. And apparently make a mess. So as you can see, I did have a few little eggies. I can see them right there that I did cook just a little bit. Just a wee bit, while also making a mess. So this container will now allow me to pour straight into these bowls. The next step in the procedure for making creme brulee is to cook the egg yolks. Egg yolks are basically what makes or breaks your creme brulee. If you undercook them, it's going to be too liquidy, but if you overcook them, it's going to split apart and the water content is going to basically separate from the proteins. While an egg yolk is mainly made up of moisture or water content, it also contains a fair amount of fats and condensed protein structures. These condensed protein structures, when heated, begin to slowly unfold themselves and are able to then bind to other proteins and make protein chains that create a gelatinous structure and begin to thicken the creme brulee. If you heat the proteins too much, however, they begin to unfold a little bit too much and they break their structures and they begin to push water out of their structures instead of retaining water. And this is what creates a curdled kind of texture. When you bake creme brulee in the oven, or anything really, you have to consider how heat is transferred, in that the outside will generally cook before the inside. However, if the temperature difference is too large, the outside of the creme brulee will become overcooked before the inside has even had a chance to cook. This is why typically you see a lot of recipes call for baking creme brulee in a water bath. The water bath allows for a uniform temperature to be made for the creme brulee, where the outside of the creme brulee can't exceed the temperature of boiling water, or 100 degrees Celsius. This will allow the entire mixture of the creme brulee to cook evenly and thoroughly. This also means that you don't actually have to cook it in a water bath. I know that the water bath can seem scary for a lot of people, And you don't actually have to cook creme brulee that way. You can actually cook creme brulee at a low temperature, as my chefs would say, low and slow. So if you bake creme brulee at something like 100 degrees Celsius, and for probably about 2 hours, you'll have the same sort of result. However, most people are impatient and they would like to have creme brulee in 30 minutes or less, and that's why we use a water bath. It just creates a uniform temperature while still making it a quick process. Okay, so let me show you how to easily do this and what I think is the easiest way to do it. So put your pans into the oven before you even fill them. Just throw them up in there. Then you're going to pour into the oven. Pro tip is taking a blowtorch just to the very top of it, and it will help to get rid of any of those bubbles. Because we don't want unsightly bubbles in our creme brulee. No, we do not. We're going to pour water straight into the pan. This way, you don't have any mess. You're not spilling anything anywhere. Alright, so that is going to sit in the oven now for 25 minutes. Basically what you're looking for is for the edges to be firm and set, but the center to kind of be a little bit like Jell-O texture, so it's going to kind of wiggle a little bit. If the whole thing kind of moves and wiggles as if it was like a liquid, you're going to leave it in the oven for a little bit longer, 5 minutes at a time, keep checking it kind of thing. So now that we have taken them out of the oven, we are going to take these ramekins out and let them cool out of the water baths, because obviously the water will keep them cooking. So we're going to take them out of the water baths and cool them slightly, and then we're going to put them into the fridge so that they can cool down completely. Now that we have taken our creme brulee out of the pans so that they don't keep cooking, and then we're going to stick them in the fridge because we want them to be cold. The third step in the process of making creme brulee is to caramelize the sugar. Of course, this is the fun part. This is the part everyone wants to watch, everyone wants to do, and it's also really hard to make a uniform caramelized layer on top as well. Caramelization is the browning reaction that is created within foods. Caramelization is a non-enzymatic reaction. This means that this caramelization or browning occurs without any enzymes. Enzymes can catalyze certain chemical reactions and cause caramelization, such as when a banana sits on your counter for a little while. That is from an enzyme reaction. The temperature at which caramelization occurs actually depends on a various number of factors. The first and most important is the type of sugar. Regular sugar or sucrose and glucose actually start caramelizing roughly around 160 degrees Celsius. Maltose, which is a common ingredient in corn syrup, will actually start caramelizing at a higher temperature, somewhere around 180 degrees Celsius, while fructose is going to caramelize at a lower temperature, somewhere around 110 degrees Celsius. When using regular sugar, the first step in the reaction process is a decomposition of a disaccharide into 2 monosaccharides. Part of these monosaccharides will decompose further into other molecules that we consider aromatic or aromas. There is quite a lot of aromas that are made when caramelizing sugar. Diacetyl is one of the most common aromas that is produced from caramelization. Some other ones include dihydroxylmethylfuranone and hydroxyacetylfuran. Chemistry. During this reaction, while some molecules are produced into aroma molecules, most of the monosaccharides will actually further react and create disaccharides and continue reacting, creating larger and larger molecules. This process is called oligomerization, and it is the process that generally forms the color components of the caramelization structure, which is carmelin, carmelin, and carmelin. Yeah, there's 3 of them. And they're all pretty close in structure, I'd have to say, too. All right, you guys, now that our creme brulees have been sitting in the fridge for about 2 hours to all the way overnight, we are going to brulee them now. Make sure that they are cold and straight out of the fridge because we want to make sure that we do not continue to cook or curdle the eggs in any way. So let me show you how to brulee the top. All right, so first things first, we are going to just pour a little bit of sugar into our bowl here. And the reason behind this is so that we can use this sugar just for bruleeing because it will touch the top of the eggs. And I don't want to put it right back into the container. That's going to contaminate the rest of my sugar, and that'll be gross. So all you're gonna do is pour it on there, thick layer. Just tap it around. So I'm going to just tap it all the way around there, and then we're going to just pour it out so that we have a nice little layer of sugar on there. No additional burnt sugar on the edges, it's just cleaner this way. And then we are going to light our torch and begin melting our sugar. And that is it. Now you have a bruleed creme brulee. Thank you so much for joining me on this tutorial of how to make creme brulee. I hope you enjoyed it. If there's anything else that you want to see, let us know down below, and make sure that you follow us on all social medias. We will link them down in this description because I know that they are all different. Yeah, this was definitely an interesting journey for sure. I wasn't sure about baking in Lolita, but I'm kind of enjoying this. It has definitely been an experience to do this for the first time. I was quite nervous that I was going to get something on it. Obviously, we have an apron so that we can protect ourselves. However, I was definitely nervous that this was not going to go over well, or I was going to be too hot, I was going to be sweating. I just didn't know how it was going to turn out, especially in Lolita. So that is pretty much it for today. I thank you so much for joining me on this journey of making a creme brulee. If there's anything specific that you would like me to make, let me know down below and I will be sure to make that as a tutorial. Other than that, make sure you follow us on all social media and keep up with Rosé Forêt. Bye! Brûlée all day. How is it that I have a girlfriend? I don't know. I don't know. Gotta look cute. Be cute. Be cute. Is everything cute? Probably can't even see my socks. We're cute. A quicker dissolution? The fuck kind of. That either. Well, egg yolks. Wow. is going to be the cool. Oh my good god. That is delicious. What the fuck? Third time's the charm. Who knows? Who knows? Whoopie knows. I like none of them. Baking behind. Wow. I don't even know the name of my segment. Wow. Flavor to COVID. I don't even know the names to the things I do. I swear to God. What? To prevent this from wow. Countertops. I don't know the name of countertops. Wow. It's a pretty day out. Why am I inside? A gelatinous, thick structure. Wow. Oh my god, I cannot talk. I can't do anything today. What the fuck? No, that was right. Fuck, I should have just kept going. When you break creme brulee and